Hey everybody, welcome back. Today we're going to be doing a three-way air fryer comparison. I'm going to show you the differences between the Ninja Foodi dual zone air fryer with Megazone, the Ninja Double Stack XL, and the Sur La Table air fryer oven. Which one of these has the most features that you need? Watch this video and find out. So you ready? Let's get into this. This is the Ninja Double Stack XL air fryer. That is the Sur La Table air fryer oven. And that is the Ninja Dual Zone Megazone air fryer. If you look at the features of the Megazone air fryer, you get air frying, obviously, roasting, baking, proofing, there's a reheat function, a dehydrate function, and also an option to keep things warm. If you select any one of these presets, you'll see that it just goes ahead and changes the temperature and time for you, just to make things a little bit easier. You can see that it has these three different things blinking right here. You have Zone 1, Zone 2, and a Megazone. What that means is if we open up our machine, you can see that the compartment in here is divided up. Zone 1 over here has a 5.5 quart capacity, and again, Zone 2 has got a 5.5 quart capacity as well. You can cook in either one of these zones, and you can actually cook two different types of things in the two zones at the same time also if you want to. You also have another option called the Megazone, and to use that you would remove the center divider just like that, and then you'd be able to use the entire area inside the machine to cook 11 quarts worth of food.
Say what?
That comes in really handy if you're cooking a big piece of meat like a ham or something like that. Down on the bottom you have two crisper plates that have a non-stick coating on them, and you can see that these are also removable as well. The big pot in here also has a non-stick coating on it as well, so cleanup is pretty easy on this thing. The only really problem I came across with the cleanup is the fact that you do have the possibility of stuff splattering up onto the heating elements and the fans up top here. If you get anything on those, it's going to be a real pain in the neck to clean them because the heating elements aren't removable, so you'd have to get a wire brush or something like that in order to clean up around in here. One other thing about cleaning this machine that's a little bit of a bummer is the fact that if you're just using one zone over here and you're just leaving this empty because you just want to cook something small, this entire container really is just one container with a little divider in the middle. So if you're just cooking over here, you're still going to have to clean this entire tub anyway because stuff is going to drip over onto this side. So that's annoying. I don't know if I'd call it a deal breaker or anything, but it is what it is. As far as operation on this machine goes, it's pretty easy. Once you select which zone you want to cook in, then the lights turn off on everything else, and then you just sort of select what you want to do, put your stuff in, start it up, and you're good to go. If you were to select Megazone, you'd still control everything in the exact same way as if you were using one of the zones, except when you start it up, both of the fans are going to come on and it's going to cook evenly amongst the entire pan. If you wanted to cook two different things, you can click Zone 1, select what you wanted to do, and then I can select Zone 2 and select something different, and then down here you would see that we have both Zone 1 and Zone 2 active because we're cooking two different things in the two zones. And then if I were to start up, it would go ahead and start them both up at the same time. In addition to the regular features, this machine also features a couple of extra things. One's called Smart Finish and one's called Match Cook. What Smart Finish does is if you're cooking two different things in the two zones, this will ensure that they finish at the same time. Match Cook is designed to be a time saver in that it'll take whatever I'm cooking in Zone 1 and copy the settings over to Zone 2 so I don't have to re-enter all that stuff. It's pretty convenient and it does save you a little bit of time. The Ninja Double Stack Air Fryer has a little bit different approach. This one has the same features I just mentioned as far as the Smart Finish and the Match Cook go. This also has two different zones, but they're stacked on top of each other instead of being side by side. If I remove one of these baskets, you'll see that this essentially looks exactly the same as the containers in the dual zone air fryer. In fact, this also holds 5.5 quarts, and if I take the rack out of here, you can see that it has a really similar crisping plate as well. However, although this looks the same at first glance, the basket design is a little bit different. First of all, it does come with this wire rack. Using that, you can fit a lot more stuff into your machine if they're all dissimilar. You can see that this basket has these little nubs here, which is where that rack was sitting, but it also serves a second purpose. You can remove the crisper plate, turn it around, slide it back into the machine like this, and now the rubber pads line up with those nubs, so you'd be able to use the crisper plate to raise the elevation of what you have inside the machine. The reason you'd want to do that is if you look on the inside of the air fryer, you can see that the fans and the heating elements are all the way in the back of the machine. That's why the grates on the baskets are on the back right here. That really changes the way this cooks, and it really gives you a chance to have a little bit more even heating on everything in this basket. With a traditional air fryer like the dual zone, all your air is coming from the top and going downward. That means it's very difficult for anything at the very bottom to cook. Remember, these machines are air fryers, they're not regular ovens, so they rely really heavily on airflow. You can see that even though the heating elements and fans are in the back, they still do work in a similar fashion. In fact, from a cleaning perspective, we have a similar issue to what we have with the other air fryer. Back here where the fan and the heating element are very difficult to get to. So if anything gets down in there, like bits of food or grease or anything like that, it's going to be really hard to clean it out. As far as the preset features on this machine go, it's really similar to the dual zone. They both have the dehydrate, reheat, roast, bake, and air fry function. This one has an air broil function, and the dual zone has that keeps warm function and the proofing function also. The way you use the double stack is almost exactly like the way you use the dual zone. It's got the two zones, you select the zone you want, you select your function, it'll show you the preset time and temperature, and you can change those with the temp and time buttons and the dial. So most of the time you're probably not going to miss that Megazone function on this machine, unless of course you're cooking things that are really large that would need that 11 quart capacity. In that case, that would really be something to think about for you. This machine also has an extra feature called Double Stack Pro. With the Double Stack Pro turned on, you can actually do 4 completely different things in the 2 zones. If you have Double Stack Pro selected, it'll run the fans a little bit higher so it can push a little bit more air through there so you get proper circulation. Of the 3 machines, the Sur La Table air fry oven probably has the most unique approach. And with that, it has the most function. You can see the entire setup of this machine is more like a regular oven than anything else. Where this thing shines is all the accessories that come with it. If I open this up, you'll see exactly what I mean. The internal oven area on this thing has a capacity of 13 quarts. So this thing really is huge, and you've got your heating coils and the fans built into the top. So this heats in a similar fashion as the dual zone air fryer, whereas it heats from the top and blows directly down. One feature that this machine has that the other 2 don't, and quite frankly most air fryers don't, is the ability to have a rotisserie. You can see the rotisserie driver right here. That really opens this machine up to a whole new world of things you can make. With this machine you get an air fry basket, and this basket is really big. It holds almost 7 quarts. It's got a removable handle right here which just clips onto the side, and then this little metal thing just flops over and locks into place. That way you can't accidentally pull it off. That's really handy because this thing has to be off in order for you to get this into the machine. The machine also comes with 3 trays. You have one that goes on the bottom that acts as a drip tray, and if you put that one in here, it'll also act as a base for your air fry basket. Just like that. In addition to that tray, you have 2 additional trays that are slotted. There's 3 different tray locations that we can use in order for these to slide in. You got one on the top, one in the middle there, and one near the bottom here as well. All 3 of these trays plus the basket over there have a non-stick coating on them as well. In addition to that, you also get a rotisserie basket, and that just sits in the machine just like that. And you also get an additional rotisserie skewer. That works in conjunction with these tines right here. You just tighten these down onto this, and you can use the skewer to cook rotisserie chickens or hams or things like that. And this one would just go on the other end over here, kind of just like this one. Also, you get these wheels right here, and those would fit onto that same skewer as well. And for this, you also get 8 skewers. Those just slide into these holes on one side just like this. And then the opposite end just slides into these slots on the other side, just like that. And for this, you can do things like shish kebabs. This just fits into the machine the same way as the rotisserie basket does, just like that as well. And obviously, if you're using the rotisserie, you just slide the splatter tray down at the bottom, just like that. The other things that come with it are this handy tool to get your rotisserie basket out of the machine when it's hot, without having to touch anything. And a stand for your rotisserie for when you pull it out of the machine. One thing to note about the Sur La Table air fry oven is the finish on this. You can see on camera that this has a piano black finish. It's the same finish that's inside of a lot of cars, and it's also the same finish that a lot of people hate. And that's because no matter what you do, every time you touch this thing, you're gonna leave dirty fingerprints, and they're gonna show up really good, and there's not really a whole lot you can do about it. The piano black finish on plastic will show lots of scratches and stuff like that. So even this thing, I've taken really great care of it. I can still see a couple of micro scratches on here anyway, and that's just from cleaning it up. So that's really something to think about. If the piano black thing bugs you, then this thing is going to drive you nuts. I'll tell you that right now. The control system on this is all touchscreen. So when we turn your machine on, you can see all the different presets that this has here. You'll notice there's not really a setting that actually says air fry, because it's going to make some assumptions about certain things, like French fries is going to be air frying, wings will be the same way, so on and so forth. But if you want to be really technical, an air fry oven really isn't much different than a convection oven. With a convection oven, you just have a heating element and a fan to blow that around in order to keep all your temperatures even. With an air fry oven, it works exactly the same way, except the fan spins a little bit faster. But as far as presets go, you have everything from fries, to fish, to pizza, to bacon, to wings, and so on and so forth. The light button will turn the light on the inside on and off, and a little circly button here will turn the rotisserie on and off as well. So for me, one of my favorite things about this was I was able to take wings, stick them in the basket, turn on the rotisserie, and I didn't have to stir anything. And that goes for anything that you air fry in this machine. If you are using the basket, you're not going to have to worry about stopping the machine and stirring anything around because it's doing it for you. To work the machine, basically all you have to do is click the preset, adjust the time over here, adjust the temperature over here, and then let it go, and it's going to start on its own. Hey, by the way, if this is your first time here and you want to learn some cool new recipes, get some great cooking tips and tricks and all sorts of other kitchen related things, then start now by subscribing to the channel and clicking the notification bell so you never miss a thing. On the Ninja Foodi Megazone air fryer, I tried a few different things. I tried air frying some curly fries with onion rings using both zones. Those both came out really good, but keep in mind if you're going to air fry and you're going to fill up your baskets, you're going to have to pause during your air fry and stir your contents around. That's not really a knock against Ninja because it's something you have to do in any air fryer. I also dehydrated some beef in the machine for about 9 hours to make beef jerky, and that just came out fantastic. Also, I simultaneously air fried some carrots and roasted some meatloaf. So that gave me a chance to try 2 different cooking techniques in the 2 different zones for 2 different things that take different amounts of time to cook. Those both finished up together and the resulting meatloaf was really, really good. On the Double Stack XL, I probably did a little bit more testing, and that's only because there were some rumors about the machine not cooking properly. For air frying, I put tater tots in one zone along with chicken fingers in the second zone. The chicken fingers just went in one layer on the wire rack, and the tots I just poured into the basket. So obviously during the air fry, I did have to pause and stir the tots around a little bit just to make sure they cooked evenly. The fingers were up on the rack, and since the air didn't have any problem getting circulation since they were raised up a little bit, those cooked through really quickly. I did the beef jerky test on this machine as well, and it cooked the beef jerky the exact same way the other machine did in about the same amount of time. Also, I cooked 2 whole chickens, 1 in each zone. I set those for match cook and just let them go. But I did notice that zone 1 up top does cook slightly quicker than zone 2 does down at the bottom. Also, I used the smart finish function to cook some salmon and asparagus. Again, the salmon was raised up and didn't have any problem cooking evenly all the way through. And I air fried the asparagus and did a couple of stirs on that since it was being air fried. Also, I made some little caprese sandwiches. Those cooked perfectly fine, and those were even in the top and bottom zones. The last test I tried on the Double Stack was using the Double Stack Pro feature to cook a whole bunch of burger patties. So I took 10 85% lean beef patties, and I stuck those into both zones using both the crisper plates and the wire racks. And I was a little bit surprised that all the burgers came out perfectly even. They all finished at the same time and they were all cooked evenly across. To test the Sur La Table air fry oven, I probably did more stuff on it than I did on anything else. Obviously on this machine you want to test the rotisserie, so I made rotisserie chicken on it. And for that I just used all the existing presets. One thing about cooking poultry is that you probably want to have a thermometer on hand because you don't really want to rely on a machine all by itself just to cook it properly. My rotisserie chicken looked really great when the default timer was up, but it was nowhere near done. I had to turn that back on and give it another 10 minutes or so to finish it. That being said, under an hour for a rotisserie chicken start to finish is pretty darn good. Staying with the rotisserie, I used the basket to make some wings also, and those just came out great. It's really great when you can air fry something and you don't have to worry about coming back, pausing the machine, stirring the contents, and starting it back up again just to make sure that everything cooks evenly. The basket took care of that great, and the default setting on the wings cooked them all the way through just the way I like them. If you like really crunchy wings though, I'd recommend adding a few extra minutes onto the timer just to get those a little bit more done. For the toast function, I toasted some toast, obviously, which came out really good. Nice and brown on the top. Not so much color on the bottom, but it was still nice and crunchy. And some Pop-Tarts, which heated up really nice, made the ends nice and crunchy, and made the filling hot enough to burn the crap out of my tongue. To test the basket, I did some crisp cut French fries. And with those, just like any air fryer, you do have to take the basket out of the machine every so often and shake your fries around. Like with the other machines, the air can't fry stuff that the air can't get to. Next, I used the dehydrate function to make some beef jerky. And since the machine has multiple trays, I was able to make a whole lot of beef jerky in this machine all at one time. Just like the other two machines, the jerky came out perfect, so there's no complaints there at all. Next, I threw in a frozen 9-inch pizza, and the pizza I put in is one of those Quest protein pizzas. That means the crust isn't really bread, it's made out of protein powder, and typically you don't get a very crunchy crust on those when you put them in the oven. In this case I did, so I was really surprised by that. It's probably the best I've ever had a frozen pizza come out before, and that includes the ones I put into the regular oven. Really couldn't ask for more on that, and it cooked the pizza a lot faster than the oven would, especially seeing as how I didn't have to preheat the oven either. The last thing I tested was some bacon, and I cooked that on 2 different levels with the slotted trays. That came out a little bit more weird. I loaded up the 2 trays, so the top tray cooked really well. But since that top tray was loaded up so much, most of the holes on the tray were covered up, so air wasn't really passing down to the bottom tray very much. So you can see that bottom tray is not really cooking well at all. What? So probably not the best use for the machine to do it that way. As far as noise goes, on the Double Stack XL with both zones doing an air fry, we're maxing out at about 74 decibels. And on the Megazone air fryer, a little bit quieter. It's topping out about 72. But it seems a little bit quieter than that. The Sur La Table air fry oven was actually the most quiet of all the machines. I mean, if you look at that, this thing's not even hitting 70 decibels. Looks like about 68 max. And finally, as far as size goes, the dual zone Megazone air fryer is about 13 inches tall. It's about 19 inches wide. And as far as depth goes, we're talking about 12 inches or so. So, pretty hefty footprint. The double stack is about 11 inches wide, 14.5 inches tall, but the depth is about 19 inches, so this one sits back pretty far. The dimensions on this machine are actually a lot larger than you think they would be. This thing is 14 inches wide, about 15 inches tall, and including the handle, it's about 14.5 inches deep. So this air fryer has a lot of function, but it does take up a pretty sizable footprint. But really, when you compare it to the dimensions of the other 2 machines, there's a little bit of give here and a little bit of take there. Also, with the Double Stack XL air fryer, you have your ventilation on the right side of the machine, so you don't want to have anything sitting right next to it on the right side either. These are 3 different air fryers that can handle distinctly different tasks. The only thing you really need to ask yourself is which one of these air fryers can handle the most tasks that are important to you. If you'd like a little bit more information about any one of these 3 air fryers, I do have Amazon affiliate links to them down in the description of the video. If you buy anything through those links, I do make a small commission, but it doesn't change the price that you pay 1 cent. If you like this video, I have product reviews for all 3 of these machines on the channel. If you click right here, you can go directly to the review for the Sur La Table air fry oven. If a rotisserie is something that interests you, then you're really going to want to see that video. Well, that's it for now. I hope to see you back again here really soon. And until that time, I'm Joe, and I hope you have a phenomenal day. Take it easy.